Misty Valley Cooperative presents When We Were Gone Astray. The paths of the world twist and turn, taking you to unexpected places. Welcome to the haunted town of Assembly, and to the strange lands around it. The days are growing shorter and the nights are chill. So put another log on the fire. Find a comfortable chair. Sit back. Relax. Listen. Chapter 10. Loup Garou. Fletch dreamed of a flying saucer, bright orange, hovering over the tall pines by the lake. He shaded his eyes against the blinding sun and blue sky. "What kind is it?" he asked. "Looks like a Chevrolet," said John the Conqueror. Fletch laughed. "What's so funny?" John asked. "You think it's a Ford?" Fletch opened his eyes and saw Silver looking down at him. "This is the coolest thing I think I ever saw," Silver said softly. "What is?" Fletch asked, feeling himself rising through layers of sleep. "The two of you together." Fletch sat up, disengaging himself from his own sleeping embrace. His body ached from sleeping on the rug, and he realized they had remained there all night. "Both of me are still here." "He looks just like you. Don't wake him up." "It's okay," said Fletch. "He took some medicine. He'll sleep for a bit." "I thought he might vanish before I got to see him," Silver told him. "Your dad telephoned about an hour ago, and Mom and I picked up Betsy on the way. They're both downstairs." He sat on the rug beside them. "He really is you. You're absolutely the same." "Well, maybe not quite," said Fletch. "And things are definitely different wherever he's from. You're his girlfriend, for instance." Silver looked startled. "You're kidding me, right?" "Nope. The world is stranger than we thought." Silver bit his lip lightly. "I guess that might explain the dreams." Fletch looked at him, perplexed. "Which ones?" "I've had dreams ever since I was small. I meet a girl, but I know we're the same person, and sometimes we switch places." "And I thought my dreams were weird," Fletch said, looking down at the sleeping boy. "He says you're beautiful." Silver shrugged. "Well, if I remember correctly, I'm an absolute fox." They went downstairs for breakfast, letting Fletch sleep, but came back up to check on him now and then. "It's funny," said Fletch. "I keep thinking I should be here in case he feels lost when he wakes up. But that's silly. He knows the house as well as I do. He'll probably come down grumbling that none of us brought him any coffee." "I heard that," the other boy said. "So, where is it?" Fletch handed him a cup. "You drooled on my pillow," he told him. "How's the headache?" "Better. Almost gone. So I guess this wasn't a dream." He noticed Silver draped along the chaise longue. "Hi." "Hi yourself." Fletch stared at him. "Silver?" "I'm afraid so," Silver replied. Fletch went to stand beside the chair. "See, I told you, Silver really is a boy." "Yeah, I can definitely see that." The other boy shrugged into his shirt. "You guys don't have any idea how many weird things I'm feeling right now." Silver swung his legs over the side of the chair and stood up. He approached Fletch, bent, and held out his hand. "I'm not going to bite you, I promise." "Yeah, I know, but still." "It's okay," said Fletch. "You can bite him. I don't mind." "Shut up," Silver said merrily, but his eyes never left those of the other boy. "He's not making this any easier on you, is he?" "I don't think that's even possible right now," Fletch muttered. "But breakfast would help." "There's eggs and bacon and toast," Silver told him. "And your dad said grits and sausage were on the way. What would you like? I'll make you a plate." "Don't bother. Fletch called from the door. "I know what he wants. You stay up here and make sure he doesn't escape." Fletch ran his hands through his hair, momentarily startled to find it cut short. "Scrambled," he said, watching himself retreat into the hall. He looked at Silver helplessly. "What am I going to do?" "Your dad thinks it will sort itself out, but he hasn't told me how." "Did he say when?" "No. I'm pretty sure he thought you would vanish during the night, or maybe when you woke up." Silver hesitated. "Does it really upset you?" "Not exactly, but I'll tell you what's weird. It feels like I'm on vacation, almost as if I'm in England or at the beach. But I look around, and everything's the same, or almost the same. You're a bit different. How can you be a girl in one place and a boy in another?" "I'm wondering that myself," Silver confessed. "If she and I were sitting here together, would we be one person or two?" "I don't know," Fletch answered, "but downstairs I'm pouring black coffee into a blue and gold cup, and I'm asking Dad for a tray. Dad is saying, 'Do you still have a headache?' And I'm saying, 'No, that was the other one.'" Silver looked at him. "How can you do that?" Fletch shrugged. "I guess because I'm there. It fades in and out, but if I focus, it isn't hard to do." Fletch returned with a plate of scrambled eggs and a slice of bacon, along with a china cup brimming with coffee. "Betsy says she's been talking with Doc. She wants to experiment on us." "Not until after breakfast," Fletch insisted. "What kind of experiment?" "I don't know. Something about the forked ways. What if she tries to send you back?" The other boy looked up, startled. "Does it have to be now? I want to go back eventually, but we haven't had much time. I want to see what it's like here. Maybe we could even find a way to visit each other on purpose instead of by accident." "Before you go down, let's try to figure some things out on our own," Silver said. "I'm going to ask you stuff, and I want you to tell me what you remember." Fletch put the tray on the rug and sat down beside himself, shoulder to shoulder. "We should probably wear different shirts so people can tell us apart." "Yeah," said Fletch, "but this is more fun." They leaned together, supporting each other, heads touching. "Okay," said Silver. "Which hand do you write with?" "My right hand." "Good. You're not complete opposites, at least. Now think back. Yesterday we were in town. I went to the co-op. Where were you?" "At the barber shop. Forby hassled me into getting my hair cut. We talked about John the Conqueror." "That's a match," the other Fletch put in. "But I'm thinking he cut yours way too short. I've got a question. Who won the election last week?" "Jimmy Carter, of course." "You are serious?" asked Silver. "Maybe we can all move to your world, Fletch." Fletch stared at him. "You mean Reagan won over here? Like the man in the high castle?" "Yeah, my mom is pretty upset." Silver crossed his legs. "On Halloween, did somebody beat you up?" Fletch nodded. "Yeah, your grandfather. Silver, your family is downright weird." Silver was stunned. "Crowther Wills, from the nursing home." "Dwight thinks so. He was there at the carnival and recognized him." "Well, that can't be a match," Fletch said. "I got a really good look at him, and he wasn't old." "He's not old," Fletch said. "He came out of the past." There was a knock at the door, and Liz appeared. "Are you guys ready to come down and join the family?" "We're still getting acquainted," Fletch told her. "Is Betsy going to send me back?" "I don't think so," said Liz, "but she wants to find out how you got here." Betsy was waiting in the parlor with Mark. Fletch thought he detected a gleam of amusement in her eyes. "You never fail to surprise me," she told him. "I might have overdone it this time, Betsy," he said. "I know it looks as if I've split apart, but I actually feel okay." "How about you?" she asked the boy beside him. "I'm okay, too, but I'm not the one who got thrown into an alternate reality. He seems to be taking it pretty well." "It really is an alternate reality," Silver put in. "Not only am I a girl, but Jimmy Carter won the election. Who knows what else could be different?" "There's the covered bridge," Fletch reminded him, "but I don't know if that makes any difference." "It does make a difference," said Betsy. "It tells us that the ways the two of you travel forked a long time in the past, before Silver was born, before the election, before the bridge was destroyed. Possibly they diverged much earlier than that." "But how did I get here?" Fletch asked her. "And how am I going to get back?" "That's what I hope to find out." She extended her hands. "Come here, both of you." She took them each by the hand and looked from one to the other. "The wolf is in you both." "Is this something the wolf did?" Fletch asked her. "Maybe trying to break free?" "Perhaps." She nodded to the table beside Mark's chair. "Silver, bring me the saucer and the bottle beside it." "Is it one of the memory bottles?" Silver asked. "Yes, but not an old one. Open the bottle, if you please." Silver drew out the cork and gave it to Betsy. She tilted it, allowing a drop of clear liquid to fall into the small saucer in Silver's hand. The air shimmered, and a china cup appeared, resting on the saucer, enclosed in a beam of sunlight. Startled, Silver almost dropped it. The cup slipped in and out of visibility, until at last it seemed to stabilize. A curl of steam rose from the cup. "Coffee?" Silver asked. "Yes," Betsy replied. "I made it this morning. Take a sip, then pass the cup to Fletch." Silver put his hand to the cup, but his fingers passed through the handle, and the image wavered. "I can't quite touch it. I can feel a bit of the heat, though. It's a memory, right?" "It is." She nodded to Fletch, who reached out cautiously, took the cup by the handle, and lifted it from the saucer. With a wary glance at its contents, he raised it to his lips. "Sanka," he said. "Betsy, how can you drink this stuff?" "It's an acquired taste," she replied. "Now pass it to Silver." "But what if it drops?" He handed the cup to Silver, who took it, inspected it, and finally took a small sip. "It's hot," Silver marveled. "How am I able to touch it now when I couldn't just a minute ago?" "Because Fletch brought it from then to now, as he did with the fireflies at the mill. Hold out the saucer." She allowed another drop to fall from the bottle, and another cup appeared, identical to the first. "Now you," she said to the other boy. "Perhaps this is a difference between you." Fletch took the cup and tasted the coffee inside. "It's not that bad." Betsy placed the cap on the bottle. "So, you are a traveler, as I thought. No one else in this room, apart from myself, could have lifted that cup as you two have done. I could not have done it myself before I became the Paraclete." "It's like magic," Liz said. "Betsy, you told me once that this kind of thing came from Persia, or somewhere in the Middle East." "Apparently so. There are tales of a traveler leading caravans across the desert and providing them with water from a spring he kept in a leather bag. There's the story of the Magi, who escaped King Herod's spies by stepping into a mirage and vanishing into their own country." Mark spoke up from his chair. "What is a traveler, Betsy? I'm not quite following this, I'm afraid." "A traveler moves at will through the forked ways, through time, and perhaps through other versions of the world." "Crowther wills," said Fletch. "He must be a traveler as well." "Yes," Betsy acknowledged. "But how did you know about Crowther?" "That's one of the differences between the two of us," said Fletch. "I found out about him from Dwight, who recognized him at the carnival." "I sent Josh to speak with Crowther," Betsy told him. "He shares this thing with you, the thing he calls le loup-garou. It helps him to travel." Her face was grave. "He lost much of his power when it woke in you at Cotton's death. He's determined to reclaim it." I don't want that thing, Fletch said, shaking his head. He can have it. What does it mean, Loup Garou? I think it's a term for a werewolf, said Silver. Maybe that's how the stories about the wog began. He glanced at Fletch. What's going to happen to you when the moon gets full? Fletch looked at the other boy in dismay. They both looked at Betsy. I think that's when you'll disappear, she told him. We are near the new moon, a bad time for traveling. The moon will be full on the 22nd. That gives you 2 weeks. The 22nd? Silver looked at her. But that's the Sabbath oak. Betsy nodded. Perhaps that's the reason he's here. They went down the porch steps, and Silver helped Betsy into the truck. It's almost noon. What are you guys going to do this afternoon? Fletch shrugged. Hang out. Maybe play Monopoly. You better watch out, said Silver. He's merciless, and he always gets boardwalk. We're not going to waste the day, Fletch declared. Silver, come get us in the truck after lunch. I want to see if we can recognize stuff that's different. We can check out the bridge and maybe hunt for the troll girl. Okay, I'll pick you up about 2. Silver took his jacket from Fletch. Which one of you am I supposed to hug? Both of us, said Fletch, but you can start with me. Are you really going to be a werewolf? I think I could deal with that. I'm only a werewolf around you, Fletch said, and kissed him. Liz came and put her arms around the other boy's shoulders. Ignore them. I'm sure you and my daughter behave with more restraint. Absolutely, Fletch assured her. Never mind, said Liz. I don't want to know. Silver came and took him by the hands. I have an idea. Tomorrow's Sunday. Why don't you come to church? Both of us. That would definitely cause a stir. They need a stir. Fletch kissed him on the cheek. You're very like her, you know. Silver nodded, for once at a loss for words. Different. After taking Betsy home, Liz drove while Silver sat in silence, staring through the window at the passing landscape. He was deep in thought, but she was unable to tell if he felt troubled or only preoccupied. I don't suppose we have to do anything, she ventured. Betsy's hard to read, but she seems to think this thing may take care of itself. That business with the teacup was magical. Betsy doesn't want to frighten us, Mom. She's more worried than she lets on. I never knew there were different versions of the world. Isn't that what the forked ways are all about? Liz asked. Different possibilities, all jumbled together? That's the picture I get when she talks about them. Yes, but I thought they all fit when you put them together. What if they don't? Liz shook her head. I don't understand. Contradictions, Mom. The paths twist and turn, and that's pretty normal. They divide, and that's okay too. But when they come back together, it gets mixed up. 2 versions of Fletch, side by side, and I love both of them. Is that the trouble? Liz asked gently. Silver touched the glass of the window with his fingertip. They seem to get along okay. It's not as if they're jealous. But the other version of Fletch misses the other version of me. The version who's a girl, said Liz. How strange this all is. I never realized how funny Fletch can be until I watched the 2 of them together. I can see why you like him, them, whatever. Silver nodded. He's like a river. He's gentle and playful, but underneath there's this deep current, and it's really dark, Mom. Sometimes he frightens me. Liz felt a shiver along her spine. Loup Garou, she thought. Silver turned and looked at her. I wonder what she's like, the other Silver. Liz reached out and took his hand. That's not hard to figure out. She's brilliant and beautiful and kind, and Fletch is lucky to have her. One thing sure, Silver told her. I'm going to start paying more attention to my dreams. I wonder if there are other people who dream in different genders. "Probably only in their nightmares," Liz replied. Cache. Crowther Wills kept to the forest trails between his camp at the wagon ford and the ruins of the old plantation. They were familiar to him, scarcely deviating from the pattern they had followed for the better part of 2 centuries. He was unable to travel. Betsy Weathers had seen to that. But he could walk, and walking gave him time to think. Once, long ago, Crowther had found himself similarly stranded, and the experience had taught him a lesson. The whiskey which opened paths for traveling was an unstable mixture, which lost its strength fairly quickly. It could not be stored, but the ingredients could, and he had taken care to leave caches hidden in places where they were unlikely to be disturbed. One of those places lay less than a mile from his camp. The old wagon road passed among overgrown fields, edged with barbed wire fences. It followed the curve of a hill, and before long Crowther saw the sagging roof of a ruined house. One of the murder houses, he thought. There had been blood aplenty in those days. Children gone missing, vagabonds and strays. Crowther passed several houses, empty shells of bleached wood and shingle. Before reaching the last house, he turned into a thicket of briars, following a narrow trail that dipped into a deep gully, then climbed through scrawny pines to an old mule shed. He half expected to hear music coming from the shed, but his grandson was not about. The door opened more easily than it had on his last visit. Dwight had replaced the rusty hinges with new ones, and he had sanded the edge of the door to fit more easily into the warped frame. The interior had been cleared and swept clean. Crowther scanned the walls, finding the shelves empty. The glass jugs, each holding a unique elixir of untimely death, were gone. The man cursed under his breath. One by one his options had diminished. His paths had narrowed to a single track, winding to an unmistakable end. He looked away toward Assembly. "You wrote the sentence," he insisted. "All I did was read it aloud." When We Were Gone Astray is produced by Misty Valley Cooperative. It is the second book of the Forked Ways. The text and audiobook are copyright 2020 by Beau Farr. All rights reserved.